Don't let him leave. Hire him now. My top candidate. These aren't casual comments. They're urgent fan pleas as news breaks of the Browns interviewing Grant Udinski. The 30-year-old offensive coordinator from Jacksonville has become a lightning rod for hope in Cleveland, and the buzz is far bigger than one job interview. With speculation swirling around Shedeur Sanders as a potential future QB.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
The timing and symbolism of this coaching move is impossible to ignore. Udinski's profile matches exactly what fans think Sanders would need: youth, innovation, and someone who speaks the modern quarterback's language. The Browns aren't just hearing the noise, they might be leaning into it. Every action this front office takes feels like part of a larger strategy to rebrand and rebuild. Pairing a young quarterback with a coach who understands not just the game but the generation could accelerate development and ignite long-term stability. For a franchise tired of false starts, this might be the smartest alignment yet. A player and a coach, both poised for breakout success, shaping a future not yet written, but increasingly anticipated. The Browns just lit the fuse. News broke that they're interviewing Grant Udinski, the 30-year-old offensive coordinator from the Jaguars, for their head coaching vacancy, and everything online went up in flames. Not because Udinski is a household name. Not because it's the flashiest move. But because it makes too much sense. Because finally, it looks like the Browns are doing something that feels strategic instead of reactive. And the internet did not miss the implications. See, this isn't just a young coach getting a shot. This is a team with a historically broken offense potentially handing the keys to someone who gets it. Someone who represents where the game is now, not where it was in 2003. Someone who might just be the missing half of a future quarterback-coach duo built to last. And you already know who people think that quarterback could be. Shedeur Sanders. Now, to be crystal clear, there is no official deal, no contract, no draft pick, nothing locked in between Shedeur Sanders and the Cleveland Browns. But that hasn't stopped the speculation. Because when you stack all the signs side by side, the picture is hard to ignore. You've got a quarterback prospect like Sanders, one of the most talked about names in the upcoming draft, who's made it very clear he's not going to just join any team. He wants fit. He wants support. He wants a coach who actually understands how to build around a mobile, intelligent, next-gen quarterback. And then suddenly, the Browns start interviewing a 30-year-old OC from Jacksonville who just so happens to be exactly the kind of coach who fits that mold. Grant Udinski isn't some recycled name with outdated schemes. He's not a legacy hire. He's young, adaptive, and respected for his grasp of modern offensive systems. And he's got the kind of story that instantly earns respect in a locker room, reportedly living in his car during the early grind of his coaching journey. That kind of sacrifice doesn't go unnoticed. It means something. It builds culture. And that's where this all starts to come together. Because the Browns haven't just been bad, they've been directionless. Their offense has been at the bottom of the league with no identity and no consistency. They've tried everything: veteran QBs, mid-tier coordinators, retread head coaches. Nothing stuck. Nothing worked. So now they're doing something they haven't done in a while. They're turning the page. Interviewing Grant Udinski might be the start of that. Fans certainly think so. The reaction online has been immediate and intense. Don't let him leave. Hire him now. This is the future. You don't get that kind of response for just any candidate. The fanbase has seen the revolving door of bad decisions. They're exhausted. And when someone like Udinski pops up, someone who represents a clean break from the same old mess, they're not just hopeful. They're begging for it. But it's not just about the coaching hire. It's about what that hire could mean. Because if the Browns are seriously considering a quarterback like Shedeur Sanders, and all signs suggest they are, then bringing in a coach who can actually support his development isn't optional. It's the whole game. Shedeur Sanders isn't going to land in Cleveland because of some vague potential. He's going to land in Cleveland if the team proves they're building the right foundation. And that starts with a coach who understands him. A coach who runs an offense tailored to his strengths. A coach who sees him not as a piece to plug in, but as a cornerstone to build around. Grant Udinski could be that coach. At 30, he's close in age to the players. That matters. He's relatable but experienced. He's not clinging to a decade-old system. He's working with the stuff that wins now. That means analytics, tempo, mobility, spacing, everything a modern quarterback like Sanders thrives on. And let's not pretend this isn't calculated. Even if the Browns don't say it directly, interviewing someone like Udinski sends a message. Not just to fans, Not just to the media, but to players, to agents, to quarterback prospects and their camps. The Browns aren't just running through a checklist, they're pivoting, signaling, laying the groundwork, and the buzz is proof. Even without official confirmation, people feel where this is going. Because it's not about throwing Shedeur into a broken system and hoping he carries it. That's how quarterbacks fail. It's about building something he can step into and grow with. Something stable, something modern, something real. That's what this hire could create. And it's not like the Browns have another plan that's clearly working. Their offense last season was one of the least effective in the league. They've been dragging through mediocrity for years. This is a franchise that has tried everything except what fans have been begging for, a full reset with a clear identity. And suddenly here it is. A fresh coaching candidate. A fan base fired up. A quarterback prospect potentially watching all of it unfold. It doesn't take a press release to know what's happening. And the ripple effects go beyond just the draft. A hire like Udinski could change how the entire league views the Browns. It says, we're not chasing old names. We're not afraid of youth. We're not recycling the same ideas that got us stuck in the first place. We're moving forward. And if that momentum pulls in Shedeur Sanders, that's how you change everything. A coach and quarterback entering the league together. Young, aligned, built for each other. The potential there isn't just exciting, it's rare. Because that kind of symmetry is what separates good teams from great ones. It's what gives a team time to grow, to develop, to build sustainably. And the Browns need that more than anyone. This isn't about a quick turnaround. It's about stopping the cycle. The one where they draft high, miss big, reset the whole staff, and repeat. If they're serious about escaping that loop, they have to get this hire right. And it can't just be about who looks good in a press conference. It has to be about who can actually build something that lasts. Grant Udinski, by all accounts, is that guy. And if Shedeur Sanders becomes part of that vision, it's not just Cleveland getting a quarterback, it's Cleveland finally building a team. So yeah, this story is blowing up. Because it's the first time in a long time that Browns fans can see a path that doesn't feel like a trap. A path that starts with the right coach and ends with the right quarterback, both growing together in a system that actually works. It's all there. The momentum, the fan support, the timing. Now the front office just has to make the move. Let us know what you think. Is Grant Udinski the coach the Browns have been waiting for? Is all of this building toward Shedeur Sanders landing in Cleveland? Could this finally be the start of something that doesn't just look good, but works? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if you're watching the Browns inch closer to a real future. And make sure you're subscribed, because if this coaching hire goes through, and the Sanders conversation keeps heating up, you'll want to be here when it all unfolds. The Browns are officially on the clock, not for a draft pick, not for a free agent signing, but for something even bigger. A total identity reset. And whether they realize it or not, every move they're making right now is being watched through the lens of one name, Shedeur Sanders. Let's be honest, Cleveland has been a revolving door of quarterbacks, coaches, and chaos for years. The one thing they haven't tried? Building a forward-thinking system before dragging a rookie quarterback into it. That's what this moment is about. It's about finally flipping the formula. It's about not just drafting talent, but developing it. And this Grant Udinski interview is the loudest signal yet that someone inside the Browns front office is finally tired of being behind the curve. Because if you've followed the team, you know what happens. They bring in a young quarterback, give him a half-baked coaching staff, zero continuity, and a playbook pulled from 2010, and then wonder why things go south by week 6. That's not a quarterback problem. That's an organizational problem. And right now the organization looks like it's trying to fix it. Grant Udinski isn't just another name on the interview list. He represents a full-on pivot. He's part of a new wave of coaches that aren't stuck in legacy systems or rigid philosophies. He's not clinging to how it's always been done. He's the kind of coach who builds offenses for the players he has, not the ones he wishes he had. And that matters. Especially when the player you might have is someone like Shedeur Sanders. Again, nothing has been officially announced. But the timing of all this is hard to ignore. You've got a top QB prospect who thrives in modern, flexible systems. You've got a team with a broken offense and a head coach vacancy. You've got a young, innovative OC from Jacksonville who checks every box for a developmental pairing. It's not just speculation, it's alignment. And let's not downplay Udinski's personal journey. A guy who lived in his car to chase his coaching dreams doesn't come with ego. He comes with fire. He comes with perspective. That's the kind of coach who knows what it's like to fight for an opportunity, and that energy? That's infectious. That's the kind of coach who earns buy-in not because of what's on his resume, but because of what he's been through. And when you pair that kind of mindset with a young quarterback who's also trying to prove himself on the biggest stage, that's where the real magic happens. That's where you build culture. Because let's talk about culture for a second. For years, Cleveland has had talent, but they've lacked identity. No one really knew what they were trying to be. Smash mouth team? West Coast offense? Defense first? Quarterback friendly? The answer changed depending on which coach was holding the clipboard that year. But now, if they commit to Udinski and double down on a quarterback like Sanders, that's the beginning of an identity, a system, a direction. And that's something the Browns haven't had in decades. You're not just bringing in a play caller. You're bringing in a philosophy. And it's not just the fans who get it. The league is watching too. Because if the Browns start making smart moves, aligning their staff and draft strategy, and creating a place where young talent can actually thrive, then Cleveland becomes more than just a team with cap space. They become a destination. And Shedeur Sanders, by all accounts, is looking for a destination. He's not desperate for any jersey. He's not begging to be a top pick at any cost. He wants to go somewhere that gets it. Somewhere that has a real plan. Somewhere that sees him as a partner, not just a savior. And that's why the Udinski interview blew up the way it did. Because people are connecting the dots. Not out of thin air, but from actual football logic. From actual needs, systems, and timing. Because think about it, what other team has this kind of setup right now? A head coach opening, a quarterback opening, and a fan base begging for a clean break from the past. This is a rare alignment. And the Browns are sitting in the middle of it. Now the pressure's on the front office. The message is out there. The fans are on board. The momentum is building. The interview has happened. And everyone's asking the same question. What's next? Because doing nothing is no longer an option. You can't spark this kind of speculation and then go backwards. You can't flirt with innovation and then settle for familiarity. That's how you lose the locker room. That's how you lose the fan base. That's how you lose another year. This isn't about hype. It's about building something real. And right now, the blueprint is right in front of them. Hire the right coach. Build the right offense. Draft the quarterback who fits. And develop him, don't drown him. Shedeur Sanders may or may not land in Cleveland. But what the Browns do next will determine whether they're even in the conversation. Whether they're serious about growth. Whether they're done running in circles. Because the Browns don't need another storyline, they need a foundation. And Grant Udinski might just be the start of that. A coach who understands today's game. A coach who knows how to relate to players, earn respect, and implement schemes that work. You give him a young quarterback who can run, throw, read, and lead, and suddenly you've got a direction. Not just a hope, not just a maybe, but a real plan for the future. And that's why this moment is so pivotal. That's why it's gone viral. Because people see the chance to break the cycle. To stop being the team that almost figured it out, and become the team that did. But it all starts with the hire. So the Browns have to ask themselves, are they ready to stop playing defense off the field? Are they ready to stop reacting and start building? Because if they are, the moves are obvious. Don't just chase headlines, build systems. Don't just draft talent, support it. Don't just change names, change the culture. And if that culture starts with a young coach like Grant Udinski and a quarterback like Shedeur Sanders, then for the first time in a long time, Cleveland might actually be playing offense. And if that happens, if the Browns actually pull this off, you'll remember this moment as the spark. The beginning of a rare, calculated shift from dysfunction to direction. Because let's face it, for far too long, the Browns have existed in this weird purgatory between rebuilding and contending, never fully committing to either. They've gone after talent, sure. They've drafted high-profile names, spent the money, made the trades. But none of it stuck. Because what they never had was structure. Vision. Alignment between who they hire, who they draft, and who they want to be. But now, suddenly there's a path forming. A path with a coach who understands the current state of the NFL and a quarterback who could redefine the Browns' identity, not just on the field but across the league. That's what Shedeur Sanders represents. Not just a prospect. A brand. A voice. A player who walks into a franchise with more than arm strength and potential. He brings presence. Expectations. Accountability. But he also needs the right environment to grow. And that's why the Grant Udinski interview exploded the way it did. Because for the first time, Cleveland looked like it might finally be creating that environment. No, the Browns haven't drafted Shedeur. But their actions are already speaking louder than any press release ever could. Interviewing a 30-year-old offensive coordinator with a modern playbook, a modern mentality, and a modern understanding of how to develop young talent? That sends a message. And if you're Shedeur or anyone in his circle, you see that message clearly. It says we're not going backward anymore. And that hits harder than any recycled quote about building a winning culture. Because now there's a chance to actually do it. Grant Udinski is part of this new breed of NFL minds. Coaches who didn't get their start as clipboard holders under 60-year-old legends, stuck in the past. Coaches who learned the game as it changed. Who evolved with it. Who understand how to maximize players instead of trying to mold them into someone else's system. That matters when you're trying to attract a quarterback like Shedeur. Because Shedeur doesn't just want a starting job, he wants a situation. He wants a team that can protect him, scheme around him, and let him lead. And if the Browns are finally willing to be that team, that changes the conversation around this franchise completely. And let's be honest, this isn't just about Sanders. It's about any quarterback who walks into that building. What happens next with the head coaching hire will define whether this front office is finally building something sustainable or just playing another short-term game. Because they've done the short-term game. The quick fix. The splashy hires that fizzle out in 18 months. The quarterbacks thrown into chaos and then written off when the system fails them. They've lived that cycle for years. But the league has changed. Young coaches are thriving. Quarterbacks are being developed through tailored systems, not shoehorned into one-size-fits-all offenses. Look around, teams that win are the ones that stop trying to be everyone else and start building to their strengths. That's why this move toward Udinski is such a big deal. Because it suggests Cleveland might finally be ready to do just that. And the support from the fans? It's real. It's not just social media noise. It's a reflection of people who've been waiting years to feel hopeful without being delusional. This isn't the usual Cleveland desperation, it's clarity. The fans see a guy who checks every box for where the team needs to go, and they're making it loud and clear. Don't let him leave. Do not screw this up. Because everyone knows what's at stake. This isn't just about winning a few more games. It's about finally ending the rinse-and-repeat pattern of poor leadership, poor development, and wasted potential. It's about stopping the carousel long enough to build something that can hold. And if that starts with Udinski and ends with Sanders stepping under center, that could be a decade-defining move. That could be the start of Cleveland becoming a franchise that quarterbacks want to play for, not just one they settle for when every other door is closed. Because when you have the right coach and the right system in place, you don't have to beg for talent. Talent comes to you. And when you think about Shedeur, his game, his leadership, his mentality, he's exactly the type of player who doesn't just want to fit in. He wants to elevate. He wants to lead from day one. He wants to be part of a program that reflects his own ambition. A coach like Udinski matches that energy. A coach with his own rise, his own grit, his own story of starting from the bottom. That kind of partnership isn't just exciting, it's balanced. It creates trust. It builds quickly. And it lasts. So where does that leave the Browns? With a decision that's bigger than just who gets the headset. Because this hire isn't happening in a vacuum. It's part of a chain reaction. The coach affects the quarterback. The quarterback affects the offense. The offense affects the culture. And the culture affects everything, from wins and losses to how the league perceives you. Right now, the league doesn't look at the Browns as forward-thinking. They look at them as stuck. A team with flashes of talent, but no sustainable vision. That can change. But only if the front office sees what's right in front of them. They have the chance to hire someone who actually fits the team they say they want to become. Someone who can develop a quarterback, lead a locker room, and grow with the franchise instead of just surviving it. They have the chance to finally put the system before the superstar and build a foundation that doesn't collapse every 2 years. The fans know it. The media knows it. Shedeur Sanders probably knows it too. And that's why every move right now is being dissected. Not just for what it is, but for what it might become. So will the Browns do it? Will they finally take the road less traveled? Will they stop chasing status hires and start trusting smart ones? Because if they do and Shedeur follows, this could be one of the most impactful quarterback-coach pairings the league has seen in years. And not because of flash. Because of fit. Because of timing. Because of intention. And that's all the fanbase really wants, intention. A plan that isn't just reactive but proactive. That says, we've learned. We're ready. Let's go. And if they blow it? If the Browns fumble this, if they pass on Udinski, ignore the momentum and fall back into old habits with a safe, uninspired hire, then the message is just as clear. It means they still don't get it. It means they still think culture is a buzzword instead of a blueprint. It means they're not ready to build for the future. They're just chasing short-term survival. And that's exactly what fans are afraid of. Because they've seen it before. Too many times. A new coach, a new quarterback, a few press conferences filled with big promises. Then the losses start piling up, and it all collapses before anything even takes root. But this time the pieces are actually there. You've got the chance to bring in a coach with modern instincts, a player-first mentality, and the ability to build a system around his talent, not the other way around. That alone puts the Browns ahead of half the league. Then you factor in a quarterback like Shedeur Sanders, a player who's already proven he can handle pressure, lead a locker room and play in big moments, and you're staring at an opportunity most teams only wish they had. So if Cleveland is serious, finally serious, about changing the narrative, this is how they do it. They don't chase the same names that always show up in coaching cycles. They don't wait until after the draft to try to make it all fit together. They act now. They align coach and quarterback. They pick a direction and commit. Because let's not pretend they can keep doing what they've been doing and expect a different result. The league moves too fast for that. Teams that hesitate get left behind. Right now they have a window. A small one. But it's open. If they hire Udinski and back him with a full long-term vision, including the quarterback he can grow with, they're not just rebuilding. They're evolving. But if they let this moment pass, if they talk themselves out of it because of age, inexperience, or fear of change, then it's back to the same story. The same results. The same pain. So, Cleveland, this is it. This is the decision that matters. Are you going to keep being the team that almost figured it out? Or are you finally ready to become the one that did? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Is this the start of a real rebuild? Can the Browns break the cycle with Grant Udinski and Shedeur Sanders? Smash that like button if you're watching the moves, seeing the vision, and hoping, just this once, that Cleveland gets it right. And subscribe for more, because if this thing actually plays out the way it's looking, we're witnessing the rebirth of a franchise in real time.